My name is Sue Moore. I'm a sexual addiction specialist with Forgiven Much Ministries. Thank you for taking the time to view this life recovery model video. Hopefully, you've had an opportunity to view the core issue addiction recovery introductory video. If not, no worries. Just make a note to circle back and check it out. It's a short 11-minute video introducing addiction and trauma model recovery concepts, including the cycle of addiction and recovery. Before we get started, let's define addiction. According to Dr. Patrick Carnes and Dr. John Seeley, addiction is an unhealthy relationship with a mood-altering substance or behavior, with a denial of adverse consequences and loss of control. The American Society of Addiction Medicine defines addiction in this way. Addiction is a chronic disease of the brain affecting the reward, motivation, and memory systems. Secondly, they say addiction includes compulsive destructive behaviors involving sexuality, gambling, and overeating, as much as substances such as cocaine and opiates. Dr. Lacer describes addiction as a progressive intimacy disorder, increasing in intensity and tolerance, progressively getting worse over time. Addiction is where we bond to inanimate substances or behaviors rather than taking the risk of becoming intimately known in relationship. To learn more about the origins of the addictive condition, please look into Forgiven Much Ministries Core Issue Addiction Recovery training events posted on our website. The Life Recovery Model, the next generation of addiction recovery. Unless we uncover and begin to heal the core issues that drive the addictive condition, and then also learn healthy intimacy skills, individuals will continue striving with their faulty belief systems and will be more prone to switching addictions. The core issue addiction recovery principles in the Life Recovery Model and in the Life Recovery Group and Guide easily direct participants towards the most effective work to escalate a more thorough recovery. Now let's look into the mechanics of the LRM, the Life Recovery Model, the actions, the practical applications, and skills needed for living in freedom every day. Before we get into the details involved in successful recovery, I'd like to provide some wisdom and encouragement. The first is from a Turkish proverb. No matter how far you've gone down a wrong road, turn back. And the next is from Jim Rohn. If someone is going down the wrong road, he doesn't need motivation to speed him up. What he needs is education to turn him around. I sincerely desire that you embrace the information that the LRM brings to you in the spirit of hope that it's intended. The road you've been on has been familiar. Even if it's been consequential, it's familiar. In this moment, though, and the moments ahead, there's an opportunity to consider a different objective and outcome for your life. We can choose differently. And just so you know, you're not alone on the journey. Others have gone before you, others are behind you, and we are all around you, supporting you every step of the way. Your approach to recovery. The addiction recovery field has been around for over 80 years, and we owe a debt of gratitude to the forerunners for the foundation that has been established. There have been many advances to understand the origins of addiction and the elements required for successful recovery. First, discerning the best approach for addiction recovery is critical to your success. Initially, the addiction recovery field presented the disease or behavioral model, believing that the abuse of the substance or behavior is the core issue. Subsequently, the trauma model believes that the deeper core issues drive the behaviors as a means of coping with pain. Selecting a program and a group process that provides with the elements necessary for successful recovery is critical to your success. On the screen, you see comparisons of recovery models. Generally, the 12-step model is a faith-based program identifying God as you see him, a higher power. There are steps and assignment work to share during your time, but this process does not allow participant discussion, crosstalk, or the practice of healthy intimacy skills during the group process and does not specifically address core issues or trauma. Celebrate Recovery is a Christian program based on Christ's Sermon on the Mount for breaking addictive behavior. Celebrate Recovery also does not allow participant discussion, crosstalk, or the practice of healthy intimacy skills during the group process, nor does the curriculum specifically address core issues or trauma. The L.I.F.E recovery model began in 2000. The L.I.F.E Recovery Group is a Christian, gender-specific, biblical and clinical trauma model core issue addiction recovery program with principles and assignments that stimulate participant discussion, crosstalk, and the practice of healthy intimacy skills during the group process. Meaning, the environment is designed to strengthen the expression of feelings, processing of pain, and learning healthy confrontation skills. L.I.F.E Recovery has a saying, "We are wounded in relationship and healed in relationship. You cannot heal an intimacy disorder alone. Intimacy disorders are healed in a group." Your plan. The model you follow is key. When I was volunteering with L.I.F.E, we always had an influx of inquiries. The L.I.F.E recovery model was created out of compassion for persons seeking sexual addiction recovery in an ever-increasing and diverse market of programs, materials, and books, of which most offered incomplete or misguided information. The purpose of the L.I.F.E recovery model is to provide proven methods for general and sexual addiction recovery that uncover and begin healing of the core issues that drive the addictive condition. Because this saying, "If you fail to plan, you plan to fail," is so true. If we do not make preparation and apply the knowledge that is provided to us, we literally plan to fail, continuing on the same life course trajectory. But the good news is this: we can always start now. It's that simple. This slide visually illustrates a timeline of recovery and the critical elements needed for healing, also clinically known as post-traumatic growth. We will cover each thread line by line in this video. The L.I.F.E recovery model is a compilation of best practices for addiction recovery from practitioners, group facilitators, and those who have implemented these practices to successfully live in freedom every day. The L.I.F.E recovery model covers the basics necessary to live in your highest functioning post-trauma and addiction. According to the work of Tedeschi and Calhoun in 2004 on post-traumatic growth is the experience of positive change that occurs as a result of the struggle with highly challenging life crises. There are 3 key functions included in the recovery process: managing distressing emotions, support and disclosure, and cognitive processing. This slide is a visual aid for the first year of recovery. In our core issue addiction recovery introductory video, we spoke about healthy disciplines practiced in the cycle of recovery. Here in the LRM, the L.I.F.E recovery model, we will examine their placement and build upon their foundational sequence in the recovery timeline. We know that before a lifetime of recovery can be experienced, one must intentionally develop disciplines that pursue wholeness, some of which you see on the screen here, all of which are presented in the LRM, with particular emphasis on the initiatives begun in the first year of recovery. Frequent evaluations of your recovery plan are crucial for success, especially at times when fulfillment appears elusive. Look for the recovery plan evaluation tool a little later in this video. Look at this illustration as a lifespan of recovery. Notice that recovery begins at the left at disclosure or discovery of addiction and moves towards freedom and service to the right and stops at the end of life. As we sequentially build on recovery's foundation, please keep in mind that every recovery journey is different. Experiences and circumstances vary for each of us. Nevertheless, the entry point for a lifetime of true recovery is through our commitment. This timeline for recovery begins the moment that we are committed. Are you ready? The following slides sequence the non-negotiable aspects for a successful first year of recovery. The monthly time frame is secondary to the sequential building of recovery disciplines and their consistent application within and then after each period represented. You'll notice that there are solid and dashed lines in the L.I.F.E recovery model. Solid lines represent continual involvement, whereas the dashed lines either signifies an intermittent need or, in regards to the methods of service, represents a learning phase as an understudy. This LRM illustration, as we mentioned earlier, is a lifespan continuum. And note that these threads or lines are represented roles or aspects of addiction recovery. There are simultaneous threads pictured here in this illustration representing different aspects of recovery occurring at the same time. Some of these threads are non-negotiable methods for successful recovery, and others are opportunities for selective means of service, which are determined by one's gifting. These practices work in harmony, though, towards the same end, serving out of our story. Let's begin detailing these threads line by line. Please keep in mind, this visual portrays an ideal recovery scenario. Each recovery plan consists of a unique timeline taking into consideration our specific circumstances. Your timeline is represented here by the bold line labeled the recovery continuum. The recovery continuum is foundational. Carnes and Lacer both imply an active recovery of 3 to 5 years contingent on the investment of working one's program, in addition to a maintenance phase of recovery demonstrated by continual service that invests into those ensnared by addiction. They warn, leaving the recovery process increases the incidence of relapse substantially. And in alignment with biblical principles, transformation continues until we pass from this life into the next. A recovery plan's key components include counseling, therapy, and workshop intensives. We need the benefit of counseling, therapy, and workshop intensives to help us work through the deep-rooted issues or troubling areas to maintain our growth in sobriety. In addition to the benefits of counseling at the beginning of the recovery process, a need to return to counseling may occur intermittently to move beyond obstacles revealed on the journey. Professional counselors aid in the recovery process by working through hidden factors that hinder our complete surrender. Both Dr. Lacer at Faithful and True and Bethesda Workshops offer core issue addiction recovery intensives. Intensives provide brief, typically 3 to 4 days, but intense help with underlying spiritual and emotional issues in the recovery process. During an intensive, participants work on dynamics that might have taken many, many months, if not years of counseling to uncover. A recovery plan's key components include support groups. A good support group should offer participants a safe environment where they are no longer in isolation, but are learning to express feelings, process pain, and apply healthy confrontation skills, all while in fellowship with others on the recovery journey. Vital to the LRM is the L.I.F.E recovery group environment. A L.I.F.E recovery group offers the essential crosstalk component, which empowers participants to speak truth in love and to hold one another accountable. This creates an iron sharpening iron environment, which spurs growth and builds healthy intimacy skills. In the safety of a L.I.F.E recovery group, participants exercise their abilities to speak truth without fear and begin to practice these healthy behaviors in other relationships outside of the group environment. Please note, as one follows their recovery plan and sobriety and stability grow, the L.I.F.E recovery group attendance becomes intermittent, that dashed line. However, the recovery effort is picked up on another line of service. Successful recovery never drops off the timeline. Accountability partners. Accountability partners are persons who know you intimately. They know your whole story, your coping methods, your rituals, and they're available to help interrupt your cycle of addiction to offer suggestions that practice healthy disciplines instead of rituals or acting out behaviors. Program Curriculum. In the Life Recovery Guides, Dr. Lacer simply directs participants towards the most effective work to reveal and begin healing those unrealistic beliefs and opinions, better understood as core issues, that fuel our addictive process. The Life Recovery Guides do this specifically and efficiently in a manner that promotes accelerated healing. The Life Recovery Guides are based on 7 biblical principles and 21 assignments. To ensure successful recovery, Dr. Lacer recommends 2 to 3 cycles through the Life Recovery Guide in an ongoing, open, or closed group. The key to healthy intimacy is learning to have less anxiety and to be fully present in all our relationships, starting with our recovery journey relationships, established on trust and confidence and less fear and anxiety. To do this, to get from there to here, we learn to take one step at a time, being and becoming authentic and fully known. Recovery's foundation is built upon learning and implementing new behaviors and making them our code of conduct. A different life course, a new trajectory, begins with new thoughts. Thoughts become actions, actions become behaviors, characteristics, and then a totally different life. A recovery plan's key components include healthy disciplines, consisting of, but not limited to, those that you see on the screen, expressing feelings, processing pain, healthy confrontation skills, daily calls, homework and journaling, defining self, and self-care. When these multiple disciplines are applied consistently, they result in healthy, intimate relationships where individuals are safe to become fully known. A recovery plan's key components also include self-education, reading recovery materials. Please take a moment to view our recommended reading list on Forgiven Much Ministries' website. Also consider attending addiction and recovery workshops or participating in Forgiven Much Ministries' core issue addiction recovery training, designed specifically to educate on the origins of addiction and speak to the elements required for successful recovery. Reading supplemental material is essential, but supplemental material should never replace or interrupt the recommended Life Recovery Guide assignment cycles. This is true for a number of reasons. 1, we are rewiring our brain. We are learning and implementing new relational skills to the mastery level so that we could teach others. 2, as new people come into the Life Recovery groups, they have an acute need to begin their recovery process immediately with the tested principle work in the Life Recovery Guides. Years ago on this topic, I asked Dr. Lacer what's happening when a group is tempted to use another book or they say that they're bored with recovery. He replied, "They're not working the material to the depth that they could. There is no way that they would be bored with the material or recovery if they were going to the depths the Spirit was leading for their healing." Even if we've cycled through the material many times, there's always new revelation and new perspective. Supplemental material enhances our learning experience. What you see on your screen is the Life Recovery Model Evaluation Tool. Before we get into the next segment of this video detailing the healthy disciplines needed for successful recovery, I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to this tool, which has a separate video and a PDF download to help you navigate through and develop your recovery plan. This evaluation document was created because many have needed a caring, yet face the facts conversation about their expectations of recovery and their level of investment. This tool isn't intended to be a legalistic measure. Instead, its value is in revealing what's missing on our recovery journey to wholeness. If we are missing the mastery of a specific skill, our experience of freedom may be impaired and, as a result, unfulfilling, if not completely unattainable. When using this tool, set aside time to reflect on your recovery efforts. Whether alone or with a facilitator, friend, or group member, use this tool to come alongside regular discussions that encourage and guide recovery strategies. This is especially effective when recovery's reality is obscured by struggles along the way. Set routine evaluations on your calendar for yourself and to share with others. Maybe sit down over a cup of coffee and relay how you're doing and what changes need to be made. This just might be the best investment of your time. For more details covering this evaluation tool, please visit Forgiven Much Ministries resource page for a PDF download and the overview video. Alrighty, let's get into the weeds a little bit to see the sequential building of these disciplines that we've been talking about. If you recall, this slide is your visual representation of the first year of recovery. Remember, it's the building of skills that we're most interested in, not necessarily the monthly timeline that's reflected on the top line of this graphic. Let's begin by introducing newcomers to group. When introducing newcomers to your L.I.F.E recovery group, it's a good idea to both email and print the L.I.F.E recovery model for their review. Include a list of local counseling sources with addiction, trauma, and family systems training. If there's uncertainty of qualified clinicians in your area, visit the AACC, the American Association of Christian Counselors website, to find Christian counselors near you. Also include in their packet the website links for Dr. Lacer's intensives and Bethesda workshops. Providing this information by email and also hard copy to your newcomers will ensure that they receive the information to understand the recovery model and then set expectations for successful recovery. They'll be guided towards competent counseling and intensives and have access to methods that will expedite the recovery process. Let's begin with group participation. The details of introducing newcomers to the group process is covered in the L.I.F.E Recovery Group segment within the Core Issue Addiction Recovery training. Here, we point out for lasting recovery the necessity of consistent group participation in both attendance and principal and assignment work. Signing the group covenant. For confidentiality purposes and for further clarification of group expectations, it is important for the newcomer to read and sign the group covenant. The covenant is included in their workbook, which also provides a space for them to initial that they have read the LRM. Mastering the reflective listening disciplines is imperative to our recovery. Wholeness, sobriety, and freedom cannot happen without learning the disciplines involved in journaling, daily check-in calls, and the reflective listening worksheet. Understanding our motivations and the role that our mind, will, and emotions play in our life course is a key element of the recovery journey. Since addiction is an intimacy disorder, the antidote then is to know self and become authentically known. Intimately, genuinely, authentically known. Celebrating sobriety. L.I.F.E Recovery Sobriety Chips. Celebrating sobriety is a tremendously important factor in our recovery. Honestly, every step in the right direction is worthy of celebration. Use these sobriety chips to encourage the celebration of milestones along the way. Sometimes just holding onto the chip has given many a sense of reassurance that I can do this. With God's help, I have made it this far. I can do this. Our first month of recovery. We're learning to work the program. Principal assignment homework. The hill to die on. Just like the reflective listening exercises, learning healthy ways of living require that we master certain functions. There's a saying at L.I.F.E, work the program works. L.I.F.'s curriculum is designed to ask you questions that bring you to a place of examination of self, your experiences, and your perceptions. We must know our triggers and rituals. We must learn to speak truth to those things that may be factually true, but not truth. We must learn to know ourselves, the truth of the original God-ordained self. Investment into recovery. Our investment into recovery shifts our focus from selfishness to selflessness and service. That presents itself in a variety of ways, such as investing our time and talents into the group, or our financial resources for workbooks, celebration parties, or other group tools. Life Recovery International is sustained by donations, and forwarding a portion of your group's support helps Life to further their resource development. Obtaining sponsors and accountability partners. Sponsors are those ahead of you on the journey, and accountability partners are peers within your group. Each are invaluable to your journey. Again, remember the benefits of attending a workshop intensive. Participants often invest their last resources in this effort to get well. It's a valuable experience, and the resources are not wasted. But this effort must be coupled with returning to the local Life Recovery group to walk out daily recovery practices and principles. Alrighty, we're 2 to 3 months into our recovery journey, and we are seeing the benefits of reading supplemental material. There's a list of recommended reading on Forgiven Much Ministries website under the Resource tab. And don't forget the core issue addiction recovery training that's specifically designed for understanding the core issues that are driving the addictive condition. Self-care. A very real struggle for most in recovery is to invest in self-care. Principle 6, Assignment 1 helps us with this by providing a very thorough inventory to use from here forward. I myself find the need to return to this tool to reevaluate and align my efforts to healthy measures. Monitoring self-care should be routine. Addicts are notorious for neglecting basic and long-term needs, thus surviving but not thriving. The daily inventory is a tool to help assess the missing pieces in recovery. Abstinence. In Principle 4, Assignment 1, we begin outlining our top lines and bottom lines and addressing the need for abstinence. Abstinence from our coping is a given and is the recovery journey for the addict. Without abstinence, we cannot reset the neurochemicals in the brain, become sober, or well. The following specifically addresses sexual addiction. Participants and their spouses are highly encouraged to sign an abstinence contract, suggested for a duration of 90 days. It's no surprise that during abstinence, we go through withdrawals both physically and emotionally. If we think about it, oftentimes this looks very similar to pulling a pacifier from a baby. We find out what's underneath all this coping, and we must learn healthy ways to self-soothe. If we're married, this exercise allows couples to reset the marriage and learn how to like one another again and become intimately known. Sometimes the 90 days is extended because the couple has decided that they're just beginning to discover who they are with each other, and they want to explore that further. The couple's relationship commitment. This agreement establishes healthy boundaries and encourages commitment that allows the couple to work on their individual recovery without fear that the marriage will end. And not making any life-altering changes for at least 1 year after you've started your recovery journey is highly recommended. While we're talking about abstinence, let's take a moment to talk about defining sobriety for spouses of addicts. Our team at L.I.F.E compiled a much-needed resource to help spouses navigate and measure their recovery efforts. What you see on the screen is a simple list of expectations. Thankfully, as we continue to apply learned disciplines, they begin to become new habits. Obstacles teach us to navigate life with these new skills, always reflecting on our motivation, learning from our slips, our mistakes, those short lapses in progress. After 90 days of successful sobriety and confirmed accountability, we can become an accountability partner ourselves. Giving back, helping someone else, this takes our recovery to the next level. We are serving out of our story. Be vigilant. Between the 3rd and 9th month of recovery covers a very challenging time. You've said an awful lot of no's to yourself, and if you're not careful, you may feel entitled or beat down. This is where your self-care skills are vital. Now is the time to take recovery efforts up a notch by seeking God's vision for your life. How would he use your story? Giving back, selflessness, and serving out of your testimony escalates and solidifies your recovery journey. As we continue on our recovery journey, we maintain these new disciplines and our sobriety. We're applying these new skills in every facet of our life, and we're gaining even more strength and momentum. We're pouring into others, sharing the lessons that we've learned and the insights from our new perspective. We are a team player. We're serving our group, leading prayers and discussions, helping with organization, distributing group flyers in the community, and maybe even open to planting a new recovery group. Most of all, we're encouraged and embark on a lifelong journey seeking after God and pursuing his vision for our life. We are confident in his goodness and his favor towards us, and we are refining our goals to match his. There comes a time when we've become the definition of disciple. We've accepted instruction and made it our code of conduct. This is practicing the LRM, and we are able to teach it. We are willing to serve others, and we share out of our story. Whether comfortable on a platform or in a living room, others witness our change, and it testifies and gives hope. And now we celebrate our first year of sobriety. For some, this season seemed unattainable, yet here we are. Rejoice, celebrate, exalt in the Lord for his great care on your journey. The first year of recovery just scratches the surface of the deeply intimate and satisfying life the Lord desires to give us. As we participate in 2 to 3 cycles through the material, we notice that during the first cycle, our main focus is on getting sober. In the second cycle, we're experiencing freedom from addiction, and we're engaging life from a whole new reference point. During the third cycle, we see our focus shift to a kingdom perspective, laying down our lives in service to help others and thoroughly enjoying ourselves. We are actively seeking our role in God's plan. For 3 to 5 years, this is our active recovery, and then a lifetime of maintenance or service. As followers of Jesus, we join him where he's working, and as we've illustrated in this life recovery model, there are several ways to do so. To further that vision, let's look at the affiliate program. The affiliate program provides opportunities when the Lord has burdened our heart with a passion to make a difference for future generations. As an affiliate, the Life Recovery Model's ultimate vision is to plant hubs. Hubs are ministries that are serving communities as training centers, raising up leaders, planting groups, and replicating the process, bearing fruit that remains. We change the world relationally, one person at a time. Join us. Make a difference in your generation. For resources referenced in this video, please visit forgivenmuchministries.org. Look for the Resources video tab for downloads of the Life Recovery Model, the Life Recovery Sample Pack, which includes Principle 1, Assignment 1 for the General Addiction and Sexual Addiction Workbook, as well as the Recovery Plan Evaluation Tool and a recommended reading list. Please contact us if you would like to host a core issue addiction recovery training event in your community. Thank you for taking the time to view this video. The Life Recovery Model. It is the next generation of addiction recovery. May God bless you as you help others on their recovery journey.